This is Jordan Philbeck.
And Mandy Tomasi.
And we couldn't be more excited for you to join us for the Girls Off the Grid podcast show.
We realized there's a lot of women out there, just like we were, just existing. So we discovered how to laugh through the tough seasons of life and begin to live life on our terms.
And that is what living off the grid is all about.
Our podcast was built so you can have a girlfriend by your side as you navigate through this crazy thing called life. It's real talk, it's girl talk.
Absolutely. Let's talk life, love, and all the things that make us human. Let's do life off the grid. Good morning. I'm Jordan Philbeck.
And I'm Mandy Tomasi. And so we have a question for you. Are you a mom?
I am.
Are you a mom?
We are.
We are. Are you a mom of a preteen? And what
Preteen.
does that look like?
Oh, I'm not ready for it.
I know. I don't really kind of know. Well, I have a daughter. Her name's Sophie, and she is 12 years old. She is going into the new, kind of like this new phase in her life. She's just now in middle school.
That's a tough time. That's a tough phase. I remember that. Do you remember those years?
I do.
Like that 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, you go from being this elementary student, this age where you're a little more coddled,
Mm-hmm.
to wanting to be on your own. And then it's like, whoa, you are on your own. You know, you're in high school, you got to kind of grow up a little bit.
I know.
I did not like those years.
The middle school was definitely probably my most difficult.
Me too.
Trying to figure out who I am, what I really like, why do I feel these certain things, why do I feel this certain way. I want my mom around, but I don't want her too close.
Right.
You know, like what's that fine line?
I know that's hard. I already feel it a little bit. Tay's in 3rd,
Mm-hmm.
Hayden's in 4th. I feel it a little bit, but then I still feel at home.
Mm-hmm.
They want me to baby them.
Yes.
Love on them. You know, they're 10, 8, and 6 or 7 now.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. But that preteen age, I can see it in Tay's attitude even more than the boys.
That's
so
true.
when did you start seeing that with Sophie? A little bit
With
of a
Sophie,
change.
you know, probably around 5th grade a little bit. I just noticed that she was like kind of keeping more things to herself.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was, I felt like a duck out of water. Like I didn't really know like what to really do. How am I supposed to be there? What are we supposed to talk about? And what you have always shared about your relationship with Hayden is I implemented the same thing, because you always said, meet him where he is. And that really just kind of really rung my bell for a little bit. So I'm like, what does that actually mean? And how does that apply to a 12-year-old?
Yeah.
And so just kind of thinking about what she enjoys, what she likes, her needs or her wants. And I noticed that she really likes, you know, TikTok.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I don't know anything about TikTok. I'm like, well, now I'm going to know. I'm going to be
interested in it.
Interested.
Because she is.
Yeah.
I love that you've done that.
I didn't know really what to do. So I'm like, let's talk to her on for her language.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was TikTok. So yesterday was kind of a big deal. I felt I couldn't, because we were in the car and I first kind of warming up my audience, right? So I had all
Is she in a good mood to talk?
I know.
Yeah.
It's like the TikTok music. There's actually something on Spotify that has the TikTok music. So I played it, and of course we're in the car, and I mean I'm jamming out front seat, driver's seat. I'm like, yeah, just really feeling it.
Feeling cool.
So cool. I look over, and then here's my daughter looking out the window. I'm like, sis, didn't you feel that beat? Didn't that feel so good? She's like, Mom, and just like staring out the window. I go, Sophie, don't you love this one? This is a good song. She's like, I do love it, but you're not supposed to know it.
Oh.
And that's when I hit him like, oh, I guess I'm.
No.
I know.
That line was strong.
Totally. So like, okay, well, I guess we'll change the channel. But then that's what made me click, saying, okay, so she likes it, but if I kind of talk to her about it, to let her tell me more about what is it about TikTok that you like? What is it about? There's these certain dances. And so yesterday, I just kind of like smooth all in. And just kind of like, okay, what about a dance? Do you want to do one together? She's like, I don't know. I go, let's do a fun one. And of course, in my mind, I'm like, don't mess this up, Mandy. Don't mess this up.
This is your one shot.
This is your one shot. So true. And of course, also me, then I go overboard and I'm way
You crushed it.
I'm way too goofy. And she's just like, she couldn't even keep it together. She's being serious. And then in the half of it, she starts laughing and runs off. I mean, I guess I just can't take anything seriously. But, you know, we broke the ice and she posted it. That's when I knew.
That was a win.
It was a win.
Mandy.
It was a win. I was like, you want to do another one? She's like, no, Mom.
No.
Don't
go.
I know.
No.
I know.
Walk away with the win. No, but that age is so hard.
It is.
Because they want that independence. I feel just some of our friends that have kids around Soph's age, it's like that fine line of a little bit of independence, a little bit of love, and let them respond and see how they feel.
Yes.
Do you feel that way with school too?
I
You
think
don't need to be on top of her.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
she just has so many different influences.
Mhm.
More than just like me saying that this is what we should do, or this is what's cute, or just kind of like with social media for kids in a middle school. I mean, she really is affected by what her friends are doing, what her friends' thoughts are. And so watching that kind of how it molds and shapes even their little minds.
Yeah.
It just makes it so important how we always talk about who are our 5 favorites. Like what do we center ourselves around, and who is our emotional influence on a daily basis. So it's kind of the same thing, to try and do this inventory of her friends, asking her the questions. I always do like this, the rose, like what was the rose of the day? What was the stem? You know, what was the thorn? So she just kind of,
some thorns.
I know. So trying to somewhat stay relative to her. And so I'm not too pushy in figuring out what's going on, but the fact that she knows that I'm still there, that she can share.
Right.
You know?
And how do you do that? How do you stay the influence but not the nagging mom? Like how do you do that with a child that you don't want to be the pushy mom,
right,
but you don't want to be the mom that's not present,
right?
So how do you feel what's helped you do that with Stove, because y'all have such a great relationship?
Well, thank you. I think just asking little questions, and when she responds with, "Oh, I don't know," no, she knows, you know. And I think one of those things, like, is everything okay? Like even like today about going to school, for some reason she said, "Mom, remember when can I have a mental health day tomorrow?" And I said, "Really?" She's like, "Yes. Remember when I had one in 2nd grade?" And I said, "Yes." She was like, "I really would like one of those tomorrow." And I didn't understand what that kind of meant, but I mean, just with so many changes in these kids' lives, the fact that she actually verbalized that she was having an issue, that's when I knew. I'm like, ooh, okay. So then I just kind of hung around a little bit more, and I said, let's make something to eat, you know. And so for her to feel like she's helping with dinner, and then letting that kind of open up to another conversation instead of like doing a sit down and saying, hey, tell me X.
Right.
I kind of
feeling like she's being targeted, like needs answers.
Yes.
That's not ever good with
I know
anybody, I feel like.
Right. And especially with girls.
Right.
Because girls are they're just so sensitive.
Oh, no, I've learned with Taylor, even though she's 8, I feel like the only way to have a really good conversation with her is if nothing else is going on. Meaning I'm not on my phone.
Yes.
I'm not over here working and asking a question. That I truly am looking her in the eye and I'm sitting with her, or I'm holding and loving on her, hugging her. And I love to say, hey, I thought we could have our alone time. Do you want to go get ice cream? And that alone is, since there's always that competition for brothers, you know, I feel like her language is alone time, nothing else going on, that she feels valued, and really that it's about her. So that's my, and again, 8 years old, different than a preteen, or a teen.
But I think that I would say synonymous with most girls for sure. I mean, I think, and especially kind of that mother-daughter, you know, because it can be so she wants to be independent, but yet she still wants to be the little girl, and still confused of what's going on, because right at this age we're going through so many different hormones, everything's changing. You know, her mind, her body, her outlook on life is changing, and so trying to stay on that pulse. But it was what you said that has really, really kept me, I feel, kind of current in her world, of meeting her at her level, meeting her at her needs and her interests. Because, you know, if I can come in and, again, talking something completely different, and she's not even paying attention, but if I just kind of get at her level.
I love that.
Yeah.
Meet them where they're at, love them where they're at, and let them talk.
Yes.
Let them be. And it's funny, I think, with kids being so different, to understand them, you really just have to learn to listen, which as parents, I know it's hard for me. I just want to, everything's great, here's how we're going to do this. And you just kind of want to be control. It's a control thing, I think.
I'm going to fix it, girl.
For you. Oh, you had a hard day. Here's how we're going to. No. Doesn't matter what somebody said to you the other day, Taylor, you know, it's okay. It doesn't matter who said what. We can still be positive. Whereas they're in their little brain, it's like, no, you don't understand. And so listening versus telling them, and meeting them where they're at, has been really helpful.
Because their little world is this, you know, and for us and our life experiences, they're all out here. So we're pulling from in a completely different pool of experiences to answer a question or answer something. And for them, this is their little world.
Right. And the context of it.
Right.
Of knowing that that's really not a big deal, but to them,
it's
like you said, it's huge.
Right.
The other day, Tay came home and said something about the size of her legs. And we don't talk about body, or, you know, I've made it really intentional that
Mm-hmm.
we just don't talk about body size. I don't look in the mirror and say I'm this or that. We just don't.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. We don't even have a scale.
Yeah, we don't either.
I don't have a scale.
We do not talk about that. And the words that we use to describe a girl in our family is you're strong, you're beautiful,
brilliant.
You're brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Gosh, that is so amazing. I mean, everything, we just intentionally try to use positivity, but it's never gone back to a body needing to be skinny, or it's always strong. Like we are strong. We work out to be strong. We go to the gym to be strong. We play soccer and we're strong, or whatever the term is, or whatever we're doing. But she brought it up and she said, Mom, are the size of my legs big? And I said, no, they're super strong. No, not at all. And I was so taken aback by that. And I said, what made you think about that? Mm-hmm. And she said, well, a friend of mine at school said that her legs are really big, talking about herself. And I said, oh. And so I then went into asking more questions because I really wanted to understand if she thought it was a bad thing, or if she was genuinely just asking, are my legs big?
Right.
And what I learned from that was she was trying to understand, like, why do we all have different size legs?
I love that.
How do we all look different? And so it wasn't necessarily negative. It was a genuine question. And so it lended us the opportunity to then sit there and say, we're all different, but we're all beautiful. And here's what I want you to tell me what you love about yourself. Here's what I love about myself. Instead of, there's lots of things I'd like to say I don't like about myself.
Yes.
We all have that. But if you just harp on what you love about yourself.
We just redirect.
So have you had that happen with Sophie?
That's hard to say. That not really so much the looks thing. I think for her, because she was a competitive gymnast for so many years, and now going from that particular kind of work ethic to not working out as often, and something interesting, because now she's not doing gymnastics anymore, but she's trying new sports. And she had her first tennis experience, and you could see where she was just, makes me want to cry. She was devastated. Because she got in the car and she's like, Mom, I'm really not good. And I said, Sophie, you're fantastic. She's like, no, Mom, I know. And I feel like the coach was talking about how I wasn't good either. I know. And it broke my heart. And I said, well, we all start somewhere.
Right.
And she said, but I'm really not. I said, do you feel that the rest of those girls were excellent the first time they put a racket in their hands? Right. She's like, well, no. And I said, how do you feel if those girls went on the beam? Could they do a split leap on the beam right now and a back handspring? She's like, well, no. And I said, you can't, you have to take, I go, the beautiful thing is that you're starting here. Right. And so your base. So let's see, especially with you and your mental aptitude on how you perceive and how you approach sports. Think about where you're going to be in 1 week, in 1 month, in 1 year. So you're starting here, and look at your growth in a year. I can't wait to see what you're going to do in 1 year. Right. And she goes, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. And I said, you have so much room to grow.
So much room.
Girl, let's do it. Yes.
I love that.
So let's take this moment, like take a snapshot of it. She's like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I said, well, we all start somewhere.
We all start somewhere.
We all start somewhere. And let's see where you're going to be even in 1 month. She's like, okay. And so I could see where that turned. Instead of kind of talking about what happened, we just said, yeah, that's expected. It should be that way. And then now let's take off.
I love it. And that'll give her such confidence to see herself
I know
grow.
what to work on now. Right. She goes, I can't wait to go in. Okay, so I know I'm going to work on this. And so we started more on kind of like the plan on how to get good than upset or, kind of lamenting on what happened at the practice.
I love that.
I know.
You did great, Mom.
Oh, gosh. I was sweating.
These small wins.
Gosh. Well, and what happened was in my head, I was so upset. It makes me cry. I wanted to cry inside because to be that embarrassed for what you did. And I'm like, gosh, did I do anything wrong? I should have kept her in tennis. She shouldn't have been doing gymnastics. I started blaming myself, and I'm like, this is a moment.
I do that often.
I know. And I have to take it. I've got to turn it and let her see the good when all I want to do is fix.
I know. Oh, me too. In that moment, you want them nothing but proud of themselves.
I know.
But nothing is more special than seeing them grow.
Yes.
And then be proud of themselves.
It's true. Yeah, for her to do it. Let her do it. Yes. But when you see your child, and she doesn't cry. Sophie doesn't cry. And her eyes were full of tears. I'm like, oh, this is bad. And I don't know what to do because now I'm like driving and I'm like, oh gosh, you know, I just started praying, like, what do I say?
Yeah.
How do I turn this? You know, what's a fix? Mom fixes everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let's see the good.
But you did. You landed her in the right direction to fix it. I know.
We're all a work in progress.
Absolutely.
You know? We're all a work in progress.
We just have to laugh.
You have to, because I thought, oh gosh, well, here we go. And
new journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she loved it. She believed in it, and she knew she could, you know, because of all the things that we say to our children every day, that you're brave, you're confident, you're capable.
Yes.
All of those words of affirmation and empowerment. You just think that they're just kind of these words, but the babies are really absorbing them.
Absolutely.
And
we
really,
all need to hear it every day, even on the good days. Yep. We need to hear it, and then it lights your fire a little bit more, gives you a little more confidence, and then when you do have those bad days, you fall back on what you know is true.
Very true. That's so true. Which I guess what even takes us back, if you guys are on Facebook, we would love to invite you all to our private Facebook community. It's called Girls Off the Grid with Jordan and Mandy, and that's exactly what we do every single day.
Yes.
We encourage and empower all of these women, and that's like my first go-to when I think of when I'm kind of in a moment. I go straight to our group, scroll through, read some of the things that we have, and just like, oh, that's right. I'm going to get my fire back.
That's right.
I can do this.
And it's like a chosen community.
Correct.
So you get to share, we get to share, and do life together. So we invite you to be there with us. We're also on Instagram at the OTG Life. Yes. And having lots of fun there too.
I know.
Okay.
Wait.
But.
We
both.
I know. So I just feel like I just want to keep talking, but I know we're over here just 60 minutes. But we will see you guys next week. Thank you all for joining us. We have so much fun, and we're all just growing together.
That's right. Invite a friend to the podcast and do this life with us. Okay. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.